So Ballykeefe, I'm Morgan King, the owner. This is Clodagh, she works in the company. She's the real boss. Have we all good English?
Yeah.
Brilliant. You say no, I said you.
Yeah.
No, all good.
So back, a little history, back about 2015, sorry, I'll even go back further. In 2003, myself and my wife purchased this farm here. Okay, we were farming with our parents, and we decided we'd buy our own place. So we bought this in 2003, and we were flying away. We were tillage and beef farm. We diversified then in 2015 due to farming being a very difficult business to get a living out of. So we looked at a lot of different options at the time, and it always came back to whiskey production. So if you go back 30 years prior to that, we had a very difficult harvest on my father's farm, and I said to my father at the time, what about, adding value to what we're doing here? And he said, what do you mean? I said, let's make whiskey. It is heated by steam. So in there is the steam generator. So your house normally would have a gas boiler that would be 28 kilowatts. Ours is 750 kilowatts. So putting that in terms, you're looking at about somewhere in the region of 13 to 14,000 a month in gas bill. And it went to 23,000 when we had our friends in Russia making a big scene. Okay. So this is the washdown tank. Inside, just underneath the steps is the computerized system. This is a caustic and an IBC of acid. It doses into it, and there's aeration in it as well to keep it bubbled up. And then this is the pipe we connect to the trailing shoe to land spread it. So that's one of the beauties that being on our own farm here, we can decide what grains we want to grow, the different types of grains. I have produced malt, pot still, rye, and oat whiskey, and variations of those. Okay, so I was the first in Ireland to distill 100% rye whiskey, and it's it's a very interesting product to work with. The problem with rye is that it doesn't have a hull. So we use first fill bourbon casks. We have purchased. So what I try to do is buy non-rinsed barrels. So in the likes of Jack Daniels now are all rinsing their barrels, and so we purchased from the likes of Haven Hill, Four Roses, to get and barrels. With me, it drives my brother ballistic. Like I will only buy in 20 to 30 casks at a time. We don't buy by the container load. The problem if you buy by the container load is that they can be stale again. You get to using them, So I buy small batches of them, and then I nose them. I go through them, and I will reject it if I'm not happy. So you can see the pile of rejections that I have. So unless the barrel is actually 100% perfect, it doesn't get used here. So the odd one of those might be a leaker, but some of them then, you can get that sulfury note off them, and that's a no-no for me. So if you have a look at this, just passing a little bit of history on the property we're standing on. So where we are was part of a large estate with 10,000 acres in it, and it's called the Desert Estate. The property, the house that I live in, was the gamekeeper's property for the estate. Okay, Lady Desert was the last person to own the estate, and she was the daughter of a German Jewish banker. And on her death, she was left the sum of £16 million. On her father's death, she was left the sum of £16 million in 1908. So, equivalent to about €1 billion today. She was one of the best landlords in Ireland. to excuse us, we're a little untidy in here at the moment because we just got a large order from America shipped there yesterday, so we're trying to wake up after all the work. So as I said, we grow the grain on the farm. We send it off to a company called Single Malt who malt it for us. It comes back in these 1 ton bags. Oh, sorry, there's more people. So as I was saying, we grow the grain on the farm. We send it off to a company called Single Malt to be malted. It comes back in 1 ton bags. And then we do everything on site from there. And then the only time it leaves here again is in a bottle. Okay. We have several different whiskies I make. I've done pot still, malt, rye, variations of rye, and an oat whiskey. Okay. Something I would also like to try at some stage is a rice whiskey. But a bit of work involved.
Yeah, we're talking the other day.
Okay. So do you know the story about pot still Irish whiskey, how it came into being?
Yeah, about the taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've
Don't know
it's
that.
come up once or twice.
So then we take the grain and we mill it here. We have our own mill, and we make what's called a grist out of it. So you don't want your grist too coarse or too fine. So this is our mill here. It's a Buhler mill. So we bought a very expensive mill, so I did. But what I can do now is I can mill unmalted barley, which is very, very hard, and we're able to do everything on site. Okay. So our mash bill is 360 kilos of malt, or a mixture of both. Okay. And then we have our lautering tun here and our mash vessel. Our mash vessel, I raise the temperature in 4 steps. 3 to break down the 3 different enzymes that are in the malt, and the 4th one is for a full conversion. Okay. You know how to do all this, don't you guys? You don't. Tell me whatever you want to hear. Okay. So this then is our lautering tun, and I have a guy I bought the equipment off a guy called Graziano Barrison Industries in Italy. Okay. And he understood what I was trying to do here. So between the two, we designed what we have here. And in our lautering tun, this is a specially designed filter in the lautering tun here. At the time, we were looking at maybe we need more room for more fermentation vessels. And then I came up with this idea, well, why don't I put in double-sided fermentation vessels? So really, it was a very good financial sense, because when you buy a fermentation vessel, you have to buy the legs, you have to buy the gauges, and you have to buy the lid and the top. So to double size it, all you do is just buy a little bit in the middle. You get it double sized. Huh. The reason there's a glass on this one and not on the others, as you know, when you start to boil a beer, which is what technically your first wash is, it'll foam and froth. So to control, these are steam jackets on it here. So to control the boiling, we control the steam until it settles down, and then we go. This pot and the neck is actually 1/3 bigger than it should be for the size of the pot. Yeah. Reason I went that way was the more copper contact you have, the cleaner the spirit. Yeah. Okay. The line arm, as you know, is a very important part of your distillation. If it goes up at an angle, you get a light spirit. If it comes down at an angle, you get a heavy spirit. Those fuseliles will fall forward into your tank. If they go up at an angle, they fall back into and you get what's called reflux into it. Okay, so with a light spirit, you know, when you drink it, you get a foreshot of the flavors of the spirit, and it disappears off your palate. With a heavy spirit, it's all those aisles you get when you drink it. Then it just lies on your palate. I don't like a heavy spirit, and I don't like a light spirit. I like something nice in between, and that's why I put my line arm has only a 6 millimeter of an incline, so nothing will lie on it. So I get a balance between a heavy spirit and a light spirit. And since I was outlaying all this money, I said I might as well make something I like. If it doesn't work, at least I like my whiskey. Spirits, whether it be the whiskies or the white spirits, there's no tails in it. I lose 24% volume by doing this, but I'm in the premium market, and I don't want people saying, oh, I had a lot of your drink last night and a banging headache the next day. So, you know, one thing we have here is a very, very clean spirit. So there's a little story. We had moonshiners in here, the real moonshiners from Kentucky in America, a whole family of them. And the guy was saying to me, he says, if you drink the heads, you go blind, your skin turns yellow, you marry your cousin, you move to the mountain, you eat roadkill, you play the banjo, and you don't want any of that shit, he says. So we end up then with 80% alcohol by volume. You don't want to go above 80%. Personally, I won't allow it to go above 80% because what's happening is you're stripping flavour profile out of it. Okay, you're heading down the vodka route, and that's not where we want to be with whiskey. We want to have all those lovely notes. If you go below, too far below the 80% alcohol, actually some of those tannin notes that are bad notes that are in the tails will cling to your good notes, and it just doesn't work for a balance on your whiskey. So I like to be as bang on 80% alcohol by volume as I can. So we bring the new make spirit in here at 80%. We blend it back to 63%. And as you know, when you add a drop of water to whiskey, a chemical reaction takes place, and the water actually heats the whiskey. So when I put the alcohol in here and add water to it, this tank gets warm. So I get a lot of tours in here, and people would say to you, oh, I don't take any water in my whiskey. Oh, I drink it neat. I said, you should put just the tiniest little drop in it, and it'll open up the whiskey, and the flavours and the notes are all there for you to. And you bring them inside, and you say, now try that without hanging, and then you put a little drop and try with that, and you have a conversion. Okay, so put it into a cask here, roll it over here into the bonded area or down to the other warehouse, and leave it for 3 years and 1 day, and then you can officially call it Irish whiskey. It's grown here, brewed here, distilled here, aged here, and bottled here, and out it goes. And my children, they don't love me too much sometimes, so I say we have to go out and do a bit of bottling. So, this is our bottling machine. Tamper-proof seal goes on the bottle. In here, we need electricity. As I said, tamper-proof seal. In here, electricity. So it crimps it onto it. Okay? And then there's our labeling machine. And we have a bottle of Ballykeefe.